Think about your car. It runs perfectly until something breaks. You fix it, you continue driving, and then something else breaks. Companies are the same, with one exception though. Instead of just one problem, businesses seem to have multiple bottlenecks simultaneously. How do you know what to fix first? In this video, I will show you how to simply identify those problems and how to solve them one at a time. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erkka Suvanto. Many of you call me EJ. I'm here on social media to build a legacy and pass on all business and life lessons to each and every one of you. Your business always grows until its next bottleneck. There are plenty of burning fires, distractions, things to do on a daily basis. It seems like we have 150 million different problems to solve. But the reality is this: there's always one big thing that's preventing you from taking that gigantic leap forward. How to know that? Today's video is all about identifying that problem and solving it. And here's a spoiler for you. If you want to fast forward to the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about time. How can we learn from people who are better than us? What is it that these successful people do with time to first identify those problems that are preventing us from growing and then solving them? That's what today's video is all about. What's the difference between a rich person and a poor person, besides the fact that the other one has more money? That rich person understands the value of time because it's our most valuable resource. How many times have you seen a wealthy person mow his own lawn or clean his house or iron his shirt? Not many times. Poor people always make the mistake of doing everything by themselves. They do everything. What about the wealthy people? Like I said, they understand the value of time and as a result, focus. We all trade time for money. $100 for someone starting out could be worth 5 hours. But for this person, it could be a matter of 1 or 2 minutes. These people early on understood that time is their most valuable resource, and they started delegating and focusing on those most important topics already way before they became millionaires or billionaires, because they truly understood that there's nothing more valuable than time. Money is not the most valuable resource, but when you have time, you can focus, and with focus you have clarity, and after that you can be really good at something, whatever your passion is. And then after that, you can monetize that. That's why we all need to understand the value of time. When we go back to our original target setting for this video, how do we identify those problems that are blocking us from growing as individuals or as companies, and then fixing them? For those two, we need time. I'm gonna give you a 3-step approach, a simple checklist to identify your problems and solve them in order to unlock that growth for your business. But let's first talk about growing your company and identifying that problem a little bit. We are all clueless. What a nice and positive way to start this section, right? What that means in practice is that whether you are 20, 40, 60 or 80, I think we are all clueless. You think your parents know what they are doing? No, they don't. I'm 48, I have no clue sometimes. Most of the mornings I'm like, okay, what the heck am I gonna do? Yeah, I have a plan in place, but then all of a sudden life throws a curveball at you, and then anything is possible. You have to replan your whole day and improvise. The difference between quote-unquote winners and losers is that winners always take action. They understand that we are all clueless, regardless of the age, experience, skill set. We just need to make sure that we keep going, because along the way we are able to figure it out. But like I mentioned, there's always that one problem that keeps you from growing, even though it seems like you have 50 million different issues to tackle. But seeing clearly and identifying what that one problem is, that's the key. And that's what we're going to talk about in this section, step number 1. The questions I'm asking myself: what is it that I'm avoiding? What feels hard? For instance, 9 months ago, I started on social media. I have talked about this a lot in my previous videos. Guess what? That particular thing, facing this camera, facing the criticism, wondering what people might think about my competence, about the way I look, or about the way I present my stuff. That was the reason why I wasn't willing to show my face and my name out there on social media until March 18, 24, when I started to tackle that particular issue. I'm like, enough is enough. I need to do something about this. But oftentimes ask yourself, what is it that I'm avoiding? What feels hard? And the answer is usually there. Another rule of thumb as far as growing your company goes, usually in the beginning, if you think about entrepreneurship, you can divide your entrepreneurial journey, if you will, into 3 different sections. The first section is about how to get customers. The next is to how to deliver to those customers, and then how to scale, meaning how to run your operations and hire your people. This typically is anywhere under $1 million. So what do you need to do? You need to promote more. If you have no clue what your problem might be, I almost guarantee you, without looking at your numbers, without looking at your customer base or your testimonials or your feedback from your customers, I know that every single company who's that small needs to promote and needs to market more. So how to acquire customers is the number 1 skill. There are 4 ways how you can market. You can run paid ads, create organic social media content, which is the newest of the 4. Then you can contact strangers and contact people you know. Only those 4. Typically in the beginning, like I said, everybody needs to market more. Then the next question, okay, how do I deliver to those customers? So this is all about marketing and sales. Sales plus marketing is the first one. What about deliver? Then you need to understand how to improve your product. Take that feedback from sales to marketing and understand how to make your product or your service better. This is about product, P. And then operations and HR, how to put processes together, have checklists, turn your company into a real business that at one point can be sold. So you can look at it from 2 different angles. You can look at it from the size of the business as far as the skill set goes, or you can go a little deeper and say, okay, what am I avoiding? What feels hard? Because usually, us people, we want to live in our comfort zone. And that's why we oftentimes try to avoid those hard conversations with ourselves. So this is the starting point for step number 1. How do I identify the bottleneck for my business? Step number 2, buy yourself time. What do you mean by that? Why do I need time? You need time so that you can focus. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, how I used to be 3 out of 10. Thinking I was 10 out of 10 on all of those 3 focus areas that I had. Be the best possible dad to my kids, train like a pro athlete, and run and grow my business all simultaneously. Those are 10 out of 10 tasks alone. What happens if I try to be best possible version of myself in all 3 categories all at the same time? That automatically means that I don't have any focus. I'm probably 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10 on all of those 3. That's why I need to figure out how to buy myself time so that I can focus, I can get really good at something, and then as a result, solve those problems and unlock that growth that we talked about. When we focus, when we buy ourselves time, we automatically need to learn how to let certain fires burn. That's part of the process. I was terrible at that in the past. Nowadays, I can silence my phone, I can ignore the noise, turn off the volume, so to say, and focus on those things that really matter. Right now, I've silenced my phone, closed the doors in order to record this video, be the best version of myself, and I'm willing to let certain fires burn. Check your calendar or your reminders list from 6 months ago. How many of those problems or those tasks that you had on your to-do list are still relevant today? That tells you that most of the problems simply go away. We don't need to put out every single fire. Okay, then you might ask, how do I buy myself time if time and focus is truly that important? Here's what you do. You set an aspirational hourly rate. What that means in practice is that you ask yourself, what is my time worth? Remember from the previous sections, how wealthy people understand that we all trade time for money, and time is the most valuable resource we have. What is your aspirational hourly rate? I don't mean what you make today. As an example, if you want to make $1 million tomorrow or next year, your hourly rate might be somewhere in the $500 ballpark. That means that you need to start behaving that way today. You can't be taking actions like somebody who makes $50K a year if your goal is to be $1 million person. Then your actions need to reflect that future state. That's what it means. You set a target for yourself, that aspirational hourly target rate. Step number 2, you ignore every single task that's going to save you less than that. You outsource every single task, like mowing your lawn, cleaning your shirts, ironing the same shirts, or cooking, or whatever that is. And you stick to that hourly rate, even if you don't make that much today. But the whole idea is that you start delegating, you buy yourself time as part of this process. Set the target, Ignore and outsource everything that's below that threshold or that target. This is super important. Understanding how we buy ourselves time and focus so that we can get really, really good at something. In our last step, we're going to talk about how to simplify and solve that problem, unlock your growth. Companies don't grow this way. Red line is unrealistic. It's more like what the green line represents here. Every single bump, 3 of them here, represents a challenge. Remember? Different actions, different stages. What this particular company needs here in the beginning versus here is completely different usually. Our natural tendency as humans is to overcomplicate things. Simple is beautiful and effective. That's number one. Seeing what that problem is that we need to solve is hard because we always have so many issues to tackle. Entrepreneurship is hard. It's stressful whether you grow, remain stagnant, or even if your company shrinks in its value and size. It's always stressful. Seeing through that and understanding what needs to be done at different stages is hard. I want to give you a couple of examples from my client list. Company A here is a software business. The founder is a very tech-savvy person, understand user interface, understand technologies. They have a very good product, excellent feedback from their small client base. Issue has been growth. What did we do? We simplified all of those problems first, and it became very clear soon that what this company needed was a dedicated salesperson. So the founder himself was courageous enough to understand that, hey, I need to let certain fires burn. I'm going to allocate half of my time towards sales efforts, even though that was not very natural for him to do that. He picked up the phone and started doing those hard things. Remember, in the beginning, ask yourself, what is it that I'm trying to avoid? What feels hard? Founder did that, started calling customers, and all of a sudden they have leads and they have deals coming in. Company B, a service provider in a construction business. Plenty of different focus areas. A 20-year proven track record, very competent founder. Small business, but extremely competent. Probably the best in the country at what they do. What we did, again, remove the clutter, see clearly, focus on that one thing that matters, and focus in this case is that we identified what that most profitable niche, that small business area is that they serve. Focus all efforts on that. Last example of service business 2, bottom fell off, market tanked, volume went down. What did these guys do? They looked at what works in today's attention-driven economy, doubled down on social media. What happened? Positive feedback, people recognized them, and they started building their brand. It's all about seeing through that clutter, removing the noise, turning the volume down, identifying that one problem that needs to be solved, but also knowing that that problem is different depending on what stage of your business curve you are in. Okay, in a nutshell, what did we talk about today? One thing at a time. We need focus to identify those problems and solve them. How did we do that? We bought ourselves time. Remember those wealthy people, how they understood the value of time? We all trade time for money. How do we buy ourselves time? First, we set that aspirational hourly rate. Number 2 and number 3, we ignore and outsource every task that costs less than the target rate. Number 3, we simplify. Growth happens when we solve our biggest problem, but that happens one thing at a time. Now it's your turn. What's the one thing you are avoiding in your business right now? Drop it in the comments. I would like to hear from you. Thank you for watching today. I enjoy making these videos. I hope you enjoy watching them as well. If so, please hit the like and the subscribe buttons. That would be highly appreciated. Again, thank you, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.